Okay, so recording has started. It's always embarrassing doing the recordings, but anyway. There's a lot of them next year. There's probably 15 of them in the advanced course already created, so you can just watch them. And okay, so I'm going to start from the starting project. See if I can copy it right from here. Copy. I'll call it Georgette. It's all right. I'll just put it in the 15th folder here, and I'll upload it later. Right, so I'm not really going to use the looping, the menu, for this, but I'm just making a copy of the project, and I'm just going to trash the main method. But at least I'll have the CIS utility class will be inside here that I can use. All right, so I've got my CIS utility class. You'll notice here's the navigator. You can see all the methods that are available in here. And I've gone and put some Java docs on all those methods. Did everybody see this get random method? We did that with the A group, I think. The B group might not have seen it. But it's just a method which will give back a random number between 1 and whatever the max number that's passed into that method is. So it's available to be used. All right, so I'm going to rename my starting project to, this is going to be my main method. So what am I supposed to call this? Babysitting, 2 words or 1? Babysitting. Did I capitalize the S? No. So I'm just going to finish my refactoring, just delete out the call to the, because I don't need a switch statement, right? I don't need a main menu. There's nothing wrong. If you wanted to, you could say add a new babysitter, and that could trigger your code. If you wanted to, you could do that, but just to keep it simple, I'll delete that. So before I do any real changes, I'll test it out, make sure it works as a starting point. So it's up and running, doesn't do anything except for a little welcome message. That makes sense? Okay, so in the requirements, this is somebody else's. No. snap that over. Okay, so I'll start off with the babysitting job class. Put it in the same package. And I don't expect it to be called, a lot of times I get this, they call the babysitting job class, but this is the babysitting job class, so don't expect to see the word class there. Yeah. Okay, so first thing I would do is read all the requirements over, get a good understanding of everything. And maybe I could have even sat down and did up a class diagram to get it all really clear in my head, what I wanted to build. All right, a job number that contains 6 digits. Employee code. No. Yeah, employee code. 1, 2, or 3. A name. So employee name. Number of children. Number of hours. Fee. All right, so it's all my attributes. So I want to get my class set up correctly first. So it's private. All right, a job number, 6 digits, can be contained in an int. So int. Anybody forget to put private before? No? They might call it just name. You might don't need to have it called employee name. We could. Fee for the job. All right, first thing I'm going to check is see is it double or is it int? Trying to figure out if it's a whole number or not. I don't have any sample output. I might have checked down there to see if it had like 300.0. If it did, I would go with the double. Did everybody go with an int? Because I think everything here is whole numbers. But you would do a little research through the requirements to see if there's any hints about what it should be. Yes, if they ever had to add tax to it, then I would switch it to a double. Okay, so I'm not worried about all the logic yet. I'm just trying to create the attributes. Okay, a constructor for the babysitting job that accepts arguments for job number, babysitter code, number of children, and hours. And so nobody did this, did they? Public void babysitter job? Baby. That wouldn't be a constructor, right? Even easier, I can insert one. Now I need to pick job number, babysitter code, employee code, number of children. All right, so the idea is that I'm passing in the value for those 4 attributes, and I'm going to calculate the other 2 based on those values. All right, so as soon as I have the values, I can determine the name. Anybody use switch statement for this? All right, so I want to switch on the employee code, case 1, break, case 2, break. Assume that the code will always be 1, 2, or 3, so I didn't have to do any validation on this. If you added a default saying invalid code, it's not going to hurt anything. All right, so if it's 1, I'm going to set my name. Something. What is it for 1? Is that Cindy? Who's second? Sorry? Marcia, like that? Marcia.
I went to school with Marcia, she did not spell it that way. So.
All right, so now, as soon as I do this, my employee name is set, right? So you think of any time you create a babysitting job, the only way I can create a babysitting job is to call this constructor, because the other constructor, the default one, is gone now, right? As soon as I create this one, the other constructor is gone, not available anymore. All right, I also want to determine the fee. And this is probably the hard part, I think, until you're used to the if statements. All right, so Cindy, I just focus like Kayla was doing, just focus on one case at a time. All right, so did anybody throw the calculation of the fee inside the same switch statement? You could if you wanted to, right? You've already got case 1, 2, 3, but either you could build it in there or you could just create another one if you want. Copy this. Okay, so Cindy is $7 per hour per child. It's not so bad, I guess. $7 per hour per child. So fee is equal to number of children times maybe I'll throw a constant in here. Public, static, final. Just so I could practice using constants. All right, so as soon as I get past this code, if it was 1, my fee will be set appropriately. All right, so case 2, Greg and Marcia are paid the same, right? $9 per hour for does it say per hour? $9 an hour for the first child, $4 per additional hour for each additional child. So the first hour, that's, you need some test data, right? So somebody,
And based on the numbers that you had in the examples, it's you add the extra for every additional child and then multiply that by the average.
for additional child. It's kind of tricky.
The way it's framed is
Yeah.
not as helpful.
It's not out of a book sometimes. I like to word like that. I don't word it all the time. It comes out of books. All right, so I'll give you some. All right,
So it's basically number of children equal to, or less than 2. Yeah, something like that. Basically, if you sum equivalent to 1 child equals this value plus the difference to the total times the other number.
all right, for the 2 hours. So if they happen to have 5 children, it would be $9 for the first one. 4 times 4, so that's 16 plus 9 is 25 per hour. That's the kind of thing. If that was a practical, and you would ask, I mean, you look at one sample data, maybe come up with another bit of sample data and clarify with me. Once 3 people ask me that same question, I'd probably stop everybody and say, you know what I mean, let's look at a couple other examples so that everybody has a clear understanding of the requirements. And it's real life. If you're really coming up with a program like this, the user probably they wouldn't sit down and write out perfectly clear requirements. You have to clarify. Okay, so case 2 and 3, that's done the same way, right? So if you put your switch statement like this, case 2 matches, case 3 matches, all right? So either of those 2 cases is going to start processing Java statements until it hits a break. So fee, I need some logic here, right? So it's a little bit different if you only have 1 child, right? So if you could say, I could have int hourly rate equals 9. So I'll set it to 9, but then so what kind of logic can I put here? So if, I gotta watch.
Children equals 1.
I don't even necessarily need it, because if it's 1, if I just do this, additional equals number of children.
Minus 1.
Yeah.
And then times the ultimate. Hours.
Right. Is that going to work? I'll leave it like that. Number 4, additional. All right, so the int total hourly equals then now I can set my fee equals so I don't know if everybody try. I mean, I think it makes it, to me, it simplifies it if I break it into multiple steps. You could do that all somehow in one step if you wanted to. You might have wanted to add some validation to say that what happens if they entered 0 for the number of children, 0, so it'd be 0 minus 1 is minus 1 times 4. That's going to affect things, right? All right, so first off, we do the calculations. I don't know if it works yet, but we'll get worried about it working correctly once we do the testing. I think it's, well, I know it's not right, but I think it's close to right. Anybody see the bug yet? Good. We'll figure it out when we get to testing. Okay, so I think, is there anything else I have to do with my babysitting job? Oh, method that displays the attribute. So a toString and a display method. All right, so I'll throw out a plus calling it an employee instead of a babysitter kind of threw me off. Fee. What am I forgetting? Name, code, oh, job number. I think this year I didn't close my method above. Now I have too many. Alt Shift F to format that. Display. What's wrong with that? That's my one I'm asking you all semester for. Don't forget the brackets of your method. After the summer, I'll forget about that. Okay, so all I'm doing inside my display, I'm calling the CI utility display, just so it'll trigger the JApps and Paint or the console. All right, so I need finish my Java doc for this constructor. And that's all. I don't need it for the display or the toString. All right, so it asks us in the main now to get the values for the babysitting job. So this is a little tricky, I guess. Some of the stuff. Very dark, eh?
Another one contrast somehow.
Well, you guys can see it. Okay, so I need to keep getting information until they enter valid information. So 4-digit year between 2013 and 2025. So I need to ask them at least once. So I might as well use a do while loop. So I'm going to keep asking them for a year. I'm just going to store it in a local variable, right? And the reason I didn't declare the year inside here, does anybody know why? Right? Like I didn't declare int year in here. If I do, that's fine for right there, but I can't use it in my condition. I want to say do keep asking them for a year while right, and you come up with a different condition here. Year is less than, well, it's less than 2013, or can anybody do a different condition? There's different ways you can do it. You could say while year is not 2012 and year is less than 20. It was inclusive, right? The requirements? Inclusive, so. All right, next. Job number. Same idea. So once you get one, that's the first one's probably the hardest. Int so keep getting a job number. Between 1 and 9999. What is your condition here? I'll do this one the opposite, while not. So I'll say, what I do is put a not sign and then bracket. So, and then I'll put inside there, I'll put the valid check. So while to be valid, it has to be job, well, not job number greater or equal to 1 and all right, so if it is greater than or equal to 1 and less than 9999, less than or equal to 9999, that means it's good. So if I stick the not in front of it, so while it's not good, keep asking them. Next. Keep asking them for 1, 2, or 3. It's the exact same, except greater than or equal to 1, less than or equal to 3. Or you could do it differently. So, enter babysitter code. How do you guys, did anybody do this? And if so, what was your condition? Nobody did? Nobody got it? You got it right, Tom? Did you use ors or what? What? Or like while? While not code equals 1 or code equals 2 or code equals 3. You could say while code is less than 1 or code is greater than 3. Or you could say while not code is greater than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to 3. Yeah. So there's 4 different ways to do this. While not. And the valid condition in here is code equal 1 or code 2. All right, so it's really this not that you have to notice it's going outside. So in here, inside these brackets is the valid. That's what's valid. And while it's the not means while it's not valid, keep on looping. And we're getting there. Number of children between 1 and 9. Number of hours between 1 and 12. I mean, this is pretty much the same, right? As I certainly wouldn't use. You could use a switch statement for that code as well. Switch 1, 2, 3. Valid equals true. But whatever works. You can count on Monday that I'm going to say use a switch and use some ifs. Right? You're going to have to use both, so you're not going to be able to avoid a switch. And this one is what number of children? One to 9, is it? While not number of children is greater than 1. And number of hours 1 to 12. Once I had, I probably would have done some testing to make sure that the one I'm copying and pasting was working correctly before I copied and pasted it. I think I'm okay. I'm double checking inclusive every time. Make sure I didn't happen to throw in exclusive there just to see if you're reading it carefully. All right, so once I have all that information, now I can create my babysitting job object. I have to pass those 4 values to it. So I'll create my object. So job number, did it get it all right? Employee code. Yeah, NetBeans's pretty smart. It picked all the right ones. Based on the name of the attributes, it guessed what ones had to go where. It's pretty smart of it, I guess. I think that's new. In the older versions of NetBeans, it wasn't that smart. It would just use the same variable every time. But you can see they're adding intelligence into the IDE. All right, and the last thing to do is display the babysitting job. I mean, you could call the CI's utility here if you wanted to, but the display calls it. And test it out. Enter year between 2013 and 2025. Try 10,000. Job number is 1. 2. Try -5. All right, so it's going to keep asking me. I would want to have some test data set up so that I know that hopefully it works. Number of hours. All right, so what should I put in babysitter code. Two. So what should the value be? So for 2, that's the this way. Number of children is 2, so it should be $13 an hour, right? For 3, so $39 is what I'm expecting. You got a bug. Oh, I told you there's a bug in there. I knew that. Now we got to go fix that bug. So what's gone wrong? Our fee is not coming out correctly, right? So here's where we're calculating the fee. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here and watch it go. The things I'm going to be looking at is whenever I get to this point, my attributes should all be set correctly. I'm going to try to put in the same data. Output. All right, so this doesn't matter, 2015. There's 2, right? Number of hours was 3. Okay, so now I got my breakpoint set here. I can look at all the values. It's employee code is 2, number of children is 2, number of hours equals 3. So the data is getting into my object correctly, right? So now I know that it's something wrong with my calculation. All right, so it jumps down into the right case. Yeah, so hourly rate is 9. Additional, what is my additional supposed to be? Yeah, so 2 children minus 1 is 1, so it should be, the additional should be 4. Additional is coming up to -2. All right, so my debugger has helped me identify exactly where my bug is. Right, and also having it broken up into 3 lines also let me identify exactly which part. So what's wrong? I think Gilbert had it right. It was order of operations. So I have to take the number of children minus 1 before I multiply by 4. it was doing 1 times 4 is -4, so 2 minus 4 is -2. All right, so I'm just going to hit this little block. So it stops my debug session. And I mean, it was easy for me, but I mean, we knew exactly where that bug was, so it wouldn't always be that easy to find it. So it's a 2015, job number 1, code is 2, children is 2, hours is 3. Now it's coming out to our correct. If I didn't do desk checking, you might have saw $21 and said, oh, that's about right. That's how much that maybe I paid a babysitter last week. But you really have to have some values set up. All right, so I'll upload this exact solution into today's lab class. I'll leave the other one there too. You'll probably see there's some slight differences in the two solutions.